Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 9 of the anime series Hibike Euphonium, and it all effectively comes down to this: the auditions process are at hand, and I was actually somewhat surprised with how long it kind of took to get around to that aspect of this episode, for much more of a focus on the slice of life and tapering off the emotions of the previous episode in the Agata Festival, especially where it pertains to Hoozuki. You know, she's still very much, it's under the awareness of Kumiko and Midori that she's still very much wearing a facade, a front of sorts, like everything's hunky-dory, everything's A-okay, in the aftermath of being shot down by Shuichi at the festival. And, you have Midori, who's very much, she feels almost to blame for this. She feels a level of guilt to the point where she's actually picking up the slack for any perceived depressiveness, that Hoozuki should be displaying. It's very much Midori in this episode who is the depressive character, to the point, and I was really surprised, by Asuka's sort of just really becoming unnerved and agitated at this during a practice session where Midori doesn't have her head in the game, so to speak, and you have Asuka just being like, look, get out, get me another, sort of stand, and making excuses to make Midori leave the room. And she basically is so, her ire is so stoked that she's like, look, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with somebody who doesn't have a level of focus on this stuff of great import, practicing for these auditions. I'm going to practice by myself. Screw this, She literally walks out because of this level of depression Midori's carrying around. And so you have Hoozuki and Kumiko kind of teaming up to try to talk some sense to Midori. And, they follow her to like a park where there's a swing set. Hoozuki's doing like a head chop routine on Midori. Get your head in the game, girl. I'm not really as obsessed about this as you probably think I am. And it remains to be seen whether Hoozuki is still wearing a front of sorts or if she really genuinely just wants to get past those conflicted emotions. And of course, before they part ways, we see that Hoozuki's sort of speculation toward Kumiko is she already knows Shuichi has interest in Kumiko, but she suspects Kumiko has a level of interest in Shuichi that she's in denial about. And, hey, you can come talk to me whenever you want to confront that fact, is basically how Hoozuki leaves it. And I find that intriguing because it seemed to surprise Kumiko to a level where, I have bought and completely, hook, line, and sinker that she has no interest in Shuichi from the very beginning. And to see a sort of burgeoning awareness within her that maybe she does have a sort of level of interest in him, I'm kind of taken aback by that. It kind of excites me. At the same time, I'm a little apprehensive. Like, I don't want to jump the gun and think maybe there's something there when maybe there isn't, But it's hard to read because, of course, as a character, she has all this stuff that she's focused on, taking her away from any sort of looking at her life. It's almost the antithesis of the Aoi character, who had to bow out because she had to think of her future. Well, Kumiko is very much even more consumed than she would have ever thought in perfecting her craft and trying to make the auditions for this upcoming event that they all want to, partake in. And I find that absolutely just compelling and fascinating because, as we see, once the audition processes begin, there was a point where Kumiko had witnessed the character of Natsuki, who was very sort of lazy and wasn't really amounting to a lot. Everyone was talking around her about she'll never make it, she'll never do anything or accomplish anything. And there's this practice session that Kumiko is sort of doing by herself, and then she hears another euphonium playing in the distance, and she at first thinks maybe it's Asuka. But she goes and finds, no, it's Natsuki. And Natsuki, we are, confronted with these flashbacks over the last couple of episodes that show us Natsuki was actually beginning to take this seriously. She was beginning to have a passion for doing this and wanting to accomplish. And it's so sad, that's unfortunately the other leg dropping the reality of the situation. So many of these characters, they've auditioned, they've tried, they've done the best they could possibly do, and they're told effectively when they aren't chosen. I think they have like a limit of 50 or 55, orchestral pieces that are allowed in this particular performance. So obviously people are going to come under that cut. But it doesn't matter because all of these people, they have this sense of almost defeat when they realize I didn't make the grade. I've tried so hard and I've strived so hard, and unfortunately that cruel reality hits home and is building, I think, the tension that I've been speaking about over the last couple of episode discussion videos that may be yet to come, where characters are going to be potentially pitted against each other. We see by the end, after the practice sessions and after the auditions processes have convened, that Taki-sensei has chosen Kumiko, he's chosen Midori, he's chosen Asuka, Shuichi. Surprisingly, Kusaka not only gets chosen, but she gets sort of, in higher grade fashion, the showcase element of playing the solo for her particular instrument, I think it's trumpet, over even like the third year who was also in the running. And you have just the shock of that moment when that is announced. A couple of people gasp, that's how shocking it is. Pleasantly so as a viewer because I'm championing these girls, but then there's the aftermath, as I say, where Natsuki, with all the passion, with all the drive, with all the striving she put into this, she didn't get chosen. What's more, Hoozuki didn't get chosen. The girl wearing the facade and the game face, and we're going to just strive and we're going to push forward. I'm not going to be depressed about this. I mean, there's this whole sequence that's absolutely adorable. Midori is collecting all of those little sort of gashapon figurines of instrumentation characters, little instruments with faces, little cute ones, kawaii and everything. And she ends up getting a tuba and names it Tuba Cabra for Hoozuki's instrument. And she gifts it to Hoozuki in a very touching sort of outreach to say thank you for just being my friend and letting me know it's okay and we don't have to agonize over this. But by the end, you have that other foot drop that some of these girls, some of the main characters are now out for the count for this particular, auditions process and this event coming up. And again, it plays into that, sort of speculation on my part that, hey, we're going to see divides between these characters, and there could be relationships very much being put to the test in the aftermath of this. Not only the slice of life, daily living, and, unrequited love aspects, but now the sort of artistic professionalism aspect. You didn't make the grade, and your friends did. And conflict could very much arise from that scenario. And on the one hand, as a viewer, I am really excited to see just how exactly this all unfolds. And at the same time, I'm apprehensive because I love all of these characters. I love them as an ensemble. I don't love all of them, but at least the main characters, I feel for them in the aftermath of, their failures or their successes. I champion their successes, and I feel just pity and, a level of compassion for their failures, because I've been on both sides in my own life, as we all have. Sometimes we win some, sometimes we lose some, and it's going to be highly intriguing to see where we go from here with that in mind, and I can't wait to find out what happens next. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 9 of Hibike Euphonium. If you've been following the series and what you speculate is yet to come, do you think there will be conflicts unfolding between these characters? Do you think they will sort of wear that badge of courage on their sleeve in a sense and man up and not let it get to them? Where do you think this is going to be going? Let me know in the comments below. Always love having the conversation with you guys. And so, yeah, that'll be pretty much it for me on this episode. And otherwise, I hope this video finds you well. And I'll catch you all later. Peace.